Before we get into the episode, I want to thank all the new subscribers, all the people that participate into this channel and my journey in becoming a journalist, becoming someone that creates content that has meaning and is getting better at doing this thing, man. I appreciate y'all, I really do. But let's get into the show, man.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.
Now, the reason this topic of discussion interests me because it's like, man, I'm tired of black folks downing each other, not uplifting each other, speaking negatively on each other. When we had the Cat Williams interview on Shannon Sharp episode, it was like, I agree with a lot of things that Cat Williams was saying, but it's like, why we don't uplift each other? Why we select a few people to uplift? And when I seen this beef between two journalists, Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock, I'm one of them type of individuals that I was crucial on Jason Whitlock. I was crucial on that guy over there. I even mentioned him in one of my records and called him a coon. And it's like, Trev, why do you got the right to call somebody a coon? Like, to call them out of their name because you disagree with some of the points that they say. People disagree with some of the things that you say all the time, but they may not call you out your name. So I want to apologize for calling him out his name, first of all. Now, the reason this beef is at this heightened level that it's at right now is because Jason Whitlock, he criticized and he reviewed Stephen A's book, Straight Shooter. I didn't read the book, like the physical copy of the book, not the paperback, the hard copy, none of that. I listened to the whole 8 hours and 4 minutes of Straight Shooter on Audible. I listened to the whole 8 hours. And when I say I'm a person that likes to read a lot, man, because I get a lot of information that I think is hidden from us, from everybody, from reading. So the book was good. He talked about his family. He talked about his mother passing away. He talked about his experiences at ESPN, hiring and firing individuals. He talked about his basketball career, his days in college in North Carolina. He talked about his family. He spoke a lot. He talked about his sister. But one thing stuck out to me in the book that Jason Whitlock brought to the world's attention, because I didn't review it, but he brought it to the world's attention. And he was talking about his political perspective in the book. And he was bashing Trump halfway through the book. And I got lost at that part of the book because I didn't understand why Trump is in your memoir. I would like for Stephen A. to address that. He didn't address that in his rebuttal to Jason Whitlock. And I'm going to play the clip that caught my attention from Jason Whitlock first because he started this beef.
Stephen A. Smith is the Kevin Hart of the sports media. Smith is a plant. Disney and ESPN installed Smith at the top of the sports media world because his inadequacies as a journalist make him easy to control. When I listened to Cat Williams talk about Kevin Hart and Steve Harvey, my mind immediately drifted to Stephen A. Smith's memoir. Smith's story just doesn't add up.
So he was obviously inspired by the Cat Williams conversation, him calling Kevin Hart a plant. Now, a plant is a person who has been planted in their position because they're going to be obedient to their masters. One thing I won't take away from Stephen A. Smith, though, is his work ethic. And him verbally telling you who he is. This is what I'm going to give him credit for. Now, he is in that position for a reason. But to call him a plant is kind of disrespectful because you're taking away his years of covering Georgetown, his years of being a journalist, writing in the paper in DC and doing all of that, his years of service covering AI in Philadelphia. You're taking away decades of work. And when I think about Stephen A. now, how much work he puts in at ESPN is ridiculous. He's underpaid to me. But they keep people and put people in position who's obedient. Us in the black community or in the black culture or just us as black folks, we always think somebody has to be like real, stand up, independent. We got to be all of this and that. Stephen A. says, this is a job. I'm obedient to he tells you that he's obedient in his messaging and in his wording. He tells you that he's going to do what he's supposed to do to stay in position because that's what he worked so hard for to get in that position. And he's going to do whatever he got to do to keep that position. He says it. So him calling him a plant, I really can't agree with that. But it's things that Jason Whitlock said that I do agree with. And I ain't going to get into that, man, right now, because I don't want to have a long, drawn-out conversation. But I suggest that y'all go check out the introduction to this beef on Jason Whitlock channel because he was kicking on her. He was kicking ass. He was breaking down history and stuff. And he used to be a colleague of Stephen A's at ESPN. But Stephen A had a rebuttal to this, and he feels as if he's been betrayed.
You betrayed me? Did you tell the folks that? You bitch. Did you tell them? You fat piece of shit. Did you tell them that? Got the names. We got Jamel Hill. We got Howard Bryant. You want me to bring up the other writers that wouldn't work for you? Why it took you nearly 2 years to get an article out? Because you ran that shit so bad you were running it into the ground? What a disgrace you were to John Skipper, the former boss of ESPN? Or the host of others? Do you want me to talk about that? Because I got receipts. I got the email. Want me to talk about that? Now, just for everybody that wants to understand, how could this possibly be? Because once upon a time, I actually tried to speak up for this damn cretin. I knew he was a piece of shit. But I said, look, maybe he's misunderstood.
The Trevor Jackson Podcast.
I'm going to tell you something, how I perceive that to be. I like I said at the top of this conversation, I don't like to see black men like arguing and calling each other out their name. And when I think of intellectual people, I don't think of curse words and cussing people out. Even though before Stephen A. went on his rant, he said he called his pastor and his mom and said, y'all ain't going to recognize me on this episode. Y'all not going to recognize me because I'm about to get out of character with this guy. Now, when you get out of character with a person, to me, that means that they are in your mind. They have control over you. He said that it's been 9 years. I haven't responded. I had your back. I supported you. It's been 9 years. You to call him a fat B, a bitch. I'm trying to not curse, like get away from curse words myself because I feel like that's a low frequency. You can do better with your vocabulary, even if your vocabulary is large, because I think Stephen A. is a smart individual, but Jason Whitlock is winning the battle right now because you're out of character right now. You can almost like don't get tricked out your position. How many people would love to see you get tricked out your position in life? I will never let another human being trick me out my position to get me acting out of character so I can lose what I'm working towards or what I have already obtained. I can't do that. I can't do it personally. But these guys need to do a show together and piece it up. Stephen A. even said, in my contract, I have a clause with ESPN that I can't work with Jason Whitlock. That's ridiculous, man. But I'm going to go ahead and further the discussion because I seen a few people talking about this. And when they was talking about it, like, they was talking like, does Stephen A need to keep up? Do he need to keep up with Shannon Sharp, since Shannon Sharp had that big episode with Cat Williams?
Stephen A. Smith being actually upset, or how much of this is Stephen A. using Jason Whitlock for content? Not that Stephen A. needs it, you know what I mean? And I'm not mad at any of it, but I just wonder because Shannon Sharp had a great week with the Cat Williams Club Shay Shay interview. You know, right. Pat McAfee had a great week with all the Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Kimmel controversy. Stephen A. might feel a need to keep up. Might be a need to compete. I don't know. I'm just saying because there really is no reason for Stephen A. Smith to be discussing Jason Whitlock at this point. I mean, he's been throwing shots at Stephen A. Smith and everybody over there for years. So maybe Stephen A. Smith got fed up. I don't know. Maybe he's just using this for content. I don't know. But again,
one time T.I. said something like, let a stray dog howl at the moon or something, or let sleeping dogs lie. Man, it's people that disrespected me before that don't even exist in my world. Like, you got to keep moving, man. Keep your energy and your vibrations up high. Jason Whitlock, man, he said some good things on his podcast. I ain't gonna cap. He has a very entertaining podcast. He's a person that's to the far right. If y'all don't know what that means, he's a Republican. He agrees with a lot of things that majority of the black community don't agree with. I do too, though, to be honest with you. And a lot of people will say, including me, that he speaks badly on black folk. Like, he don't like being who he is. He's not celebrating his race or whatever. But should his race be celebrated? Now to think about it, well, after I say that, I heard celebrating race. That sounds weird. But he's just a far right individual, and ain't nothing wrong with having your own perspective. That's why I apologize to him at the beginning of the podcast, because ain't nothing wrong with having your own perspective. But Stephen A., let him have his perspective and let sleeping dogs lie.
But I told Stephen A., I said, Stephen A., will you please stop lending people your audience?
Yeah. Sometimes, sometimes you got to put people in your place. Sometimes you got to put people in your place. Because what happens is, if you don't say nothing, they're going to keep on coming at you, and they're going to keep on coming for you. Normally, when you're in school and there's a bully and he bullying you, he going to keep on bullying you until you stand up to him. So at some point, I'm assuming Stephen A. is fed up, because Mr. Whitlock has always been going at him and going at him and going at him and going at him and taking shots at him throughout the years, and now he's finally fed up. You got to stand up for yourself.
You know, both of them have a point. Shannon Sharp said, quit lending people your audience. He lended him his audience for free. Millions of views, man. They made a bankroll, lent him his audience for free. And then Ocho said, sometimes you got to give people the business, man. You got to let folks know you ain't playing. Verbally, you can think I'm playing, man. I'm going to keep ignoring you. Physically is a different thing. We can get physical. But verbally, I'm not going to mention you if I don't agree with what you're saying, or if I dislike you. I'm not going to throw shots and all of that. Like, I don't understand YouTube beef. YouTube done turned into the streets. That's crazy, ain't it? Looking at two journalists beef. Like, when we used to have beef, it used to be on songs. It used to be in the magazines and stuff. Now, people are beefing on the internet. You go to his YouTube channel, then you go to his YouTube channel to hear his response. Like songs. We in weird times, man. Hope these two brothers get it together, though, man. Hope y'all was thoroughly entertained by the beef, and hope I can assist y'all in more entertainment about my perspective of the beef. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm going to let y'all ride out to my new song, man. Wouldn't change nothing. Off the album, It Was All a Dream. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. Make sure you go get you some money. And I'm out. Chill.
If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. I had to get me something. I came up from nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. I had to get me something. I came up from nothing. I had to change my mental, upgrade my credentials. How a nigga came up, it wasn't accidental. Now monumental, more like legendary. A player never worry, bumping pop, Hail Mary trapped off a Blackberry. Ain't contrary to your belief, I made it at them streets. Don't acknowledge beef, kept the play discreet. We too unique, on a winning streak. Spent a couple racks at the boutique. I wouldn't change nothing, I'm always me. Never took a plea, nigga, you a flea. I'm your OG's OG. He called me for inspiration. Need a consultation, just make the payment for the conversation. If it's elevation or innovation, my expectation ain't limitation. You need a demonstration. My track record and reputation should be admiration. That's confirmation. I'm decoration for the trenches, off the benches, jump the fences, no penny pinching. We off the hinges. Hit the shot, my team winning. The series clinching. You niggas finished. Never timid. I've been a menace. No old dog, and every day is printed. Haters living 'cause my life changed. Should be happy, but you a real lame. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. I had to get me something. I came up from nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change nothing. I had to get me something. I came up from nothing. My lifestyle been kinda wild, grew a real foul, but mama proud. Seen a young child take off his style. Wavy nigga, no new now. When they hate, I kept a smile, but meanwhile I'm stacking piles. Beef, we don't reconcile. My grind, yeah, it's versatile. Run the game like Noah Lyles. New Audi with 0 miles. Been a baller since a juvenile. Never was I in denial. May have fell off for a while, but I'm back at it, didn't change up. Got my change up, kept my chin up for the come up at the Queen's Cup. Never linked up, they washed up. I got more paper than a Brinks truck. They think it's luck, but I don't get no fucks. I wouldn't change much, I've been clutch. Can't be touched, I'm a made man. See the haters through the Ray-Bans. Never drop locations, never made no statements. Never did no hating. That ain't what I'm on, dawg. Beat the odds and every day I ball. To the top I crawl, y'all. And you can bet I won't ever fall off. 'Cause it's prime time like I'm Dion. It was grind time on you peons. And I'm living fine and won't rewind.